Lacking autonomy or control over your life can manifest itself in a lot of different ways, and for ReZero in particular, we see this be sort of a central theme in a lot of characters' life experiences. How they have given up their own autonomy or control over their life for some very specific reason. You can feel controlled by other people's actions, what others think, and what others feel, and react to those things accordingly. How does our cast feel about their own agency? Well, let's talk about it. First things first, what is control or agency or autonomy? And for the sake of this video, I'm just going to kind of conflate these three concepts. It pretty much colloquially refers to you governing your own life, and that while of course there will always be outside factors that sometimes influence or affect the things that you do, ultimately your behavior reflects your choice. The three primary cases of this lack of self-governance are first, our protagonist, Natsuki Subaru, second, our main heroine, Emilia, and third, the keeper of the Forbidden Library, Beatrice. Natsuki Subaru is one of our primary instances of feeling like you are at odds with yourself and your own sense of control. Pre-Isekai Subaru in particular is a very specific case. Abandoning all desire to go to school, he would start off gradually giving up control over the things he has within his grasp, sitting and staring at the clock, waiting for the time to tick over just enough that he could justify himself not going to school that day. He willingly gave up control as a retroactive coping mechanism for his decisions. Oh man, well, it's a shame that the time has passed. Guess this has nothing to do with any of the choices I made. After that, he would sink further and further into inaction and stripping himself of any decision making, living life by being obsessed with elf girls and playing games and going on snack runs. That is, until the unthinkable happened. He was truly transported to another world. After years of self-doubt, years of lacking control, of social isolation, and being stuck in an echo chamber of toxic masculine ideals and negative viewpoints, he was ready to make it everyone else's problem. And that's what he did to the first woman that allowed him to attach himself to her. Emilia and Subaru at the time of their meeting are in very interesting places thematically. Emilia lives a life basically commanded by others, and at the time of Subaru's introduction into this new world, he is given the absolute power of deciding the outcome he wants from any given situation. The power to control your surroundings bestowed upon the boy who did not desire control. Yet, however, the way in which he uses the power initially is not in the better interest of Emilia, but for self-serving reasons to later hold over her in an effort to once again strip her of agency. Subaru would repeatedly insert himself into her life, breaking boundaries and promises, and due to the power that gives him absolute control and his previous life back on Earth, he ends up acting as a figure that strips away the agency of others. Ironically enough, this lashing out at Emilia is also caused by a multitude of issues that he is forced to confront in Arc 3. The newfound freedom that returned by death has granted Subaru the ability to literally restart that a lot of people would appreciate in their own lives, that they feel they have screwed up, also ended up exposing his lifestyle from before being isekai'd. Being granted ultimate control contrasted the environment he lived that led him to refusing control, something he highlights during the From Zero chapter, where he states, "Do you have any idea what I did before I found all of you? Nothing, that's what. I've never done a single thing worth mentioning. I had all that time and freedom and squandered it away on nothing, and what you're looking at is the result." What this scene did was highlight Subaru's struggles with newfound agency, and it led to him spiraling into considering any hardship or barrier as something he solely must confront. Rem would light this fire within him. While her speech about all the things that she loved about him would inspire him to keep going, it would ignite an ever-expanding hero complex in him, causing him significant damage going into the story's fourth arc. As Subaru battles with this and the idea that the only thing he can offer his loved ones is his own demise, Emilia struggles with her own feelings of dependence. She did not get to experience much of her adult life without being coddled or guided by Puck, someone who would intentionally withhold information from her. A lot of people that watched ReZero give Puck a pass because he is a cute cat, but this dude kind of sucks. He would basically end up controlling almost every aspect of her life, even hiding her own memories from her for her own benefit. Things that would basically end up in her being extremely emotionally stunted and pause her maturation for quite some time. Roswaal would also take this into account, utilizing Emilia's weak mental state and her fear of independence to make her completely dependent on Subaru, all for the sake of the goal of reviving his master. Subaru would inadvertently end up feeding into this after some failed loops, telling her to step aside so that he could take the trials in her place. Subaru up until this point was rejecting the agency of the people around him, treating them as video game NPCs or obstacles in front of the hero protagonist, but Arc 4 is where that really gets challenged and he is forced to view them for what they are, and that they're just people. After the witch's graveyard, where he is told to include himself among the ones he wishes to save, he confronts Emilia once again, breaking their promise and hoping to form a more equal relationship with her, rather than one of an anime heroine and an isekai protagonist, hoping to give her the push she needs to stand on her own, subservient to nobody, but also reminding her that she is loved and not alone. Not only was he rejecting the autonomy of the people around him, he was rejecting his own as well, and that is why Arc 4 is so important for him in so many different factors. No longer being a slave to fate or this moral obligation to be in control of every aspect of the universe, see this video here, Subaru finally begins to respect his own choices by making the choice to save himself. All of this would lead up to Choose Me. Our final subject of this brief discussion is Beako. Tasked with the objective to protect the forbidden library no matter what by Echidna, she would sit in the mansion for hundreds of years, waiting for a single, solitary point of relief: that person. She was given no choice in the matter, only wanting to stay with her mother, being held back by the words of an incomplete book that no longer instructed her what to do. Many people would come to try and take her out of the library, but only for selfish goals, such as to claim the knowledge of the library for themselves. Subaru, with his newfound development in Arc 4 of, treating people as people, would be the first one to breach that rejection of hers. He was the only one who noticed that despite her shoving him out, she would still plant herself right in front of the entrance to that library, waiting for that person. But that person would never come. Subaru would say as much. The gospel that would show her no path forward would usher her to make a choice all the same. Subaru would reject inevitable fate, reject the alleged determinist path set before him to save Beatrice from refusing to make that same choice. He would not impugn her for waiting for that person. Subaru himself was someone who sat listlessly for years until the impossible happened. To juxtapose his speech in From Zero, Subaru recognizes that he can't save her. He recognizes his powerlessness, and instead implores Beatrice to do the one thing that he himself was incapable of doing for so long: to choose. Presented with the option of either sticking with destined fate and following the blank pages or to make her own decisions, breaking free from the mold set before her and living a life of decisions. Where the previous Subaru might have made this into an opportunity to be a shining hero, he knows what he has to do. He has to make Beatrice make the decision to save him and herself. ReZero takes a very harsh look at the typical isekai incel or nice guy persona through Subaru, and takes a firm stance against the prospect of controlling the women around you for your own personal gain. It criticizes the idea of Subaru being owed things due to actions his loved ones are unaware of. You cannot reduce the targets of your affection to solely objects or NPCs, something he would specifically do to Beatrice early on, and must grant them their own autonomy. Arc 4 culminates in beating Roswaal, the dude who was making all of his decisions based off of a book that makes all of them for him. His confidence in predetermined fate, leading him to victory, is what causes his downfall, as Subaru disregards fate, saving it all despite Roswaal's desires. Returned by death, Subaru's journey, Emilia's arc, Choose Me, and the defeat of Roswaal spells ReZero's thoughts on a lack of autonomy and determinism as a philosophy quite clearly. Fuck that. You make the future you desire. You are in charge of your own destiny, and don't let some book tell you otherwise. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for the funny YouTube algorithm. You can check the description down below to follow me on Twitter, where I'm objectively correct all the time. You can also join my Discord, where we talk about My Hero Academia, ReZero, Jujutsu Kaisen, and stuff like that. And you can also now become a YouTube member, which basically just gives you access to behind-the-scenes content, a little badge on comments, and live stream chats, and access to some emotes. Only do so if you want to support the channel, though. But that's about it, though. Thank you for watching. See ya.